Today we're touring a really cool single-family home plus ADU, and then we're going to go over the numbers to show why this property makes for a very good house hack. What's exciting about this video is that I'm previewing the latest iteration of the spreadsheet I built specifically for analyzing house hacks. I call it the House Hack Calculator. You're going to see a whole new version of it today, and I'll share with you how you can get a copy for yourself. So let's go. I'm John Schwartz of House Hack Los Angeles, and today we're going to what I call the one-size-fits-all house hack. So what do I mean by one-size-fits-all? Here's what I mean. This property that we're going to see is the classic Los Angeles ADU property. In front, you have a 3-bed, 2-bath house, and in the back, you have a 1-bed, 1-bath ADU. So how is this one-size-fits-all? Well, if you're young and single, or even partnered or with a spouse, but you don't have kids yet, you can live in the 1-bed, 1-bath ADU and rent out the 3-2 front house and drastically lower your living expenses. While you're doing this, you're getting a ton of principal pay down because the front unit is paying so much of the mortgage. You're also getting the appreciation of a large asset, much larger than the little asset you're living in. And your cost of living is going to be lower than if you were renting a comparable 1-bed, 1-bath apartment. However, if you're a little further along in life and you're a house hacker who's married or has kids, for example, I am a house hacker who's married with a kid, you might want more than a 350 square foot 1-bed, 1-bath. In that case, you live in the front house, which has 3 beds and 2 baths, and you rent out the ADU in the back. Now granted, you won't be squeezing every penny of potential income out of the property, but that's fine. You're at a later stage in life, and you'll still be having someone else paying for a decent chunk of the mortgage every month. And that's fantastic. Another reason why this is a one-size-fits-all house hack is because of where it's located. So if you're looking to house hack in Los Angeles, you're basically going to have 2 big considerations when it comes to where you do it. The first consideration is that you want to live where you want to live. That might be a trendy neighborhood, it might be close to work, but it might not be the best place to have an investment property. On the other hand, you also want to buy a house hack in a great spot to have an investment property. And in Los Angeles, the best neighborhoods in which to invest are transitioning neighborhoods. Neighborhoods that are going to be more different in 3 or 4 years than their neighbors. That's where you're going to find the property that's going to appreciate the most in the next 3, 4, 7, 10 years. So when you're looking for a house hack, you have to balance these 2 concerns and find an area that is at least near where you want to live and at least near the best transitioning neighborhoods in Los Angeles. And that's where this property is. It's on a street called Ridgely. It's off of Washington Boulevard, which is a east-west boulevard just north of the 10 freeway. 10 years ago, nothing was on Washington Boulevard. Now, there's a cool coffee shop or 2. And this property is very close to Culver City and the kind of west side area that's become very popular with tech workers. What we're calling Silicon Beach. There's a whole lot of tech workers now on kind of the lower west side. So location-wise, this property is great because it's adjacent to awesome neighborhoods, and it's adjacent to a slightly worse area that's probably going to see more change in the next couple of years. But where this property is specifically is comfortable, easy breezy, it's a nice block, and I can't wait to see the property. The one catch to you being the all that fits this one size is that you can afford this property. As per usual, after the tour, we're going to go back to Los Angeles House Hack HQ and get into all the numbers and see why they are awesome. But first, we will visit the property once we get through this Los Angeles traffic and take a look. So here's our street, and it's pretty nice. We see the house and we can tell right away that it's been renovated with some style. We have these black outdoor lights, this interesting modern black door. When we come inside, we see that these style choices continue to this nice piece behind the fireplace, and I love this massive window facing the front. Here's a coat closet by the front door. Going into the kitchen, we have a small breakfast nook and then a nice galley kitchen with nice marble countertops and a marble backsplash, washer and dryer in the back there. And then coming back into the living area, we have bathroom number 1, bathtub and walk-in shower. Again, nice marble tile floor and walling. Bedroom number 1, it's tight, but it has its own closet right there behind the door. Bedroom number 2 is also a little bit tight. This home is compact. There's the closet. And then we come to the master bedroom suite, which is a nice size. It has its own walk-in closet. And a nice bathroom with his and her sinks. And of course, a toilet. Now we're going to come back out through the house. There's a little linen closet right there. We're going to go through the galley kitchen. Here's some parking area behind the house. A back patio. You can see the tankless water heater and the air conditioner. Nice backyard. And here's the ADU. We come into the ADU, here's the living room / kitchen. It's also compact, but you can see there's a washer dryer unit right inside. Here's the bedroom, which is kind of a bedroom, kind of a sleeping alcove, also very tight, but the saving grace, which we'll see in a second, here's the bathroom with a big walk-in shower, that's nice. The saving grace is this very large walk-in closet. You can really store everything in here and keep the rest of your home neat and tidy. So it's a compact 1-1, no question, but it makes great use of the space that it has. And I really like this living room kitchen. Set up a drop-down movie screen in the ceiling. Woo! That'd be pretty nice. So we're back at House Hack HQ, and before we dive into the numbers, let's just contextualize where we are on the map. So obviously the red flag here is our house plus ADU. Right down here we have Culver City. Just south of the 10 we have West Adams. And so we're close to a lot here. And of course we're just below kind of the Mid-Wilshire area. So this is, I think, a fantastic place to house hack. It's not in a neighborhood that's too transitional, but it's also not in, say, Culver City, which has already popped and prices have exploded. All right, let's go to the numbers, shall we? So this is the latest version of the House Hack Calculator, my spreadsheet for analyzing house hacks. It's not in the public yet. I haven't dropped it. I'm going to drop it in about 2 weeks in a YouTube video. So if you'd like a copy of this spreadsheet, subscribe to my YouTube channel to get the video when it comes out, or go to www.househack.la/calculator, download the current version, and I'll send you an email when the update's available. So let's dig in. All right, at the top here, we have address information. The property is at 1909 South Ridgely Drive in Los Angeles. Is there rent control in this market? The box is checked because LA is a rent-controlled market. And the annual cap is the annual cap imposed by the rent control ordinance in Los Angeles. Currently it's at 3%. So now we go down to unit information, and this property is 2 units, the 3-2 main house and the 1-1 ADU. Now current rent and market rent are the same number because we're buying the units vacant, which means we can put in tenants at market rents. For market rents, I go to rentometer.com and use the median rent amount for the address and the bedroom and bathroom count. Right now I have the calculator set up with the front house being rented to tenants and the back house being occupied by the owner. We come down to purchase information. The purchase price for this property is $1.179 million. Interestingly, this property was on the market a few months ago at a slightly lower price, then went off the market, then came back. To me, that suggests that when it was on the market at a lower price earlier, the price actually got bid up. So when the seller is putting it back on the market, they've put it back on the market at a higher price. Anyways, that's where the price is right now. Down payment, we're going to go with the 10% down payment for the sake of this example. Loan terms, we're going to put in an interest rate of 3%, which is about par right now. And we do not have the FHA box checked because we're not going to go with an FHA loan. Looking at cash to close, we have our down payment. We have no upfront mortgage insurance because this is not an FHA loan. Closing cost, I always estimate 2%, and the renovation budget is 0, because you saw that property. It doesn't need any work. Now we get to our pro forma, and this is where we tally up the income and expenses of being a house hacker in this property. The income is the rent on the main house, $41.75, and then expenses include the mortgage payment, property tax, which in Los Angeles is 1.27%, a homeowner's insurance of, and I'm ballparking it at $100 a month. It might be a little more, it might be a little less, but for most properties in Los Angeles, I ballpark around $100, maybe $90 to $120. And then If we move into escrow, it's time to start calling insurers and getting real quotes and dialing in that number. Our mortgage insurance premium, because we're putting less than 20% down, I'm estimating 0.23%. If you're shopping for properties, you should talk to your lender about what your actual mortgage insurance numbers will be. Property management fee is 0%. I think if you're house hacking, you should manage the property yourself. For utilities, I've entered $60 per month. This is the baseline starting point that I use for estimating utilities. In Los Angeles, as the landlord, you're almost always paying for your tenant's water. So this is essentially the water bill. And I always estimate $60 per month and then dial it in depending on the specific features of the property. Maintenance and CapEx, I'm doing my standard 8%, though honestly, if this house has been renovated as nicely behind the walls and under the floor as it has been inside the walls, that's a high estimate. For a nicely renovated, newly refreshed home in Los Angeles, maintenance and CapEx reserves, 7% is probably a better estimate, but we'll keep it at 8%. Other expenses, I'm considering $50 a month to have the lawn mowed. And lastly, vacancy. I always go with 5% in Los Angeles. The past couple of years, the vacancy rate has been closer to 4.1 to 4.3%. I like to bump up just a little bit and use that in my underwriting. So when you tally this all up, you have expenses of $6,678, income of $4,175 for a cash flow of negative $2,500. Now, it's important that we look at these numbers holistically in their full light. What we see is, yes, the net monthly cost to live in this property is $2,500. However, of that, $1,821 is going toward principal paydown. So when you have a mortgage payment, it's part interest, part principal paydown. The interest is money that flitters off into the ether and you'll never see it again. But the principal paydown is money coming back to you. Why? Well, your net worth is what you own minus what you owe, your assets minus your liabilities. And your principal paydown is decreasing your liabilities each month. If you own a home, your biggest liability, without question, is your mortgage. So each month as you pay that mortgage off, your liabilities decrease. If your assets at least stay the same, your net worth is going up. So that's why I see this 1821, if you deduct it from your negative cash flow, you end up with what I call a rent equivalent of $682. This $682 represents the actual amount of money that leaves your pocket and never returns, like rent. So when you're analyzing a house hack, especially in an expensive market like Los Angeles, where rent is very high and property is very expensive, it's important not just to look at the cash flow, but also to factor in the principal paydown to come up with a true rent equivalent. And then beyond that, going down another level, we look at appreciation. So this property, based on a 4% annual appreciation rate, is going to be gaining equity to the tune of $3,860 per month. Now, I always say this, appreciation is not linear, you don't see it every month, it's not guaranteed. But chances are, if you own property in Los Angeles over the long term, you will see appreciation gains. And if you break those down monthly, in the case of this property, you're looking at $3,860 per month. So when you add those to your monthly cash flow out of pocket, you end up with an actual net worth gain of $3,178 per month. And this is the point that I try to underscore all the time when we're talking about house hacks. It's not so much about cash flow, it's about building equity and developing a strong financial foundation. So now we're going to get to the really cool part of this new iteration of the house hack calculator, the dashboard tab. So the dashboard has several different frameworks through which you can analyze this house hack. The first framework I call the rent by hack analysis, and this is looking at year one averages, and it's basically comparing three scenarios. One, you rent a similar property at market rent, and the money that you're not spending on a down payment, you invest and earn some return. And you can plug in the return you think you'll get. Right now I have it plugged into 10%, which is a pretty good return to get on any investment. The second scenario is buying in the traditional way. You buy the property in the traditional method, and you don't have any income stream from it. And the third option is hacking, and that of course is doing what we're talking about. Buying the property, having renters, and only living in part of it. In this scenario, if you were to rent and invest your down payment elsewhere and earn a 10% return, over the first year you would have a monthly net worth loss of $851. If you were to buy this property, you would have a monthly net worth loss of $249. Now these are the averages for year one. Homeownership is a wonderful thing. Even if you're losing net worth in year one, you're going to even out in year two, you're going to start gaining in year three, and by the time you sell the home, a couple years further down the road, you will have made an equity gain. But your year one net worth change each month is a loss of $249. Finally, if you hack the property, you're looking at a monthly net worth gain of $3,274. And again, this is factoring in appreciation. But still, this just demonstrates the incredible power of house hacking. Let's move on. Now let's go to the starter home alternative analysis. And this is a way of looking at the house hack as an alternative to a starter home. Now, a lot of home buyers do the starter home thing, which is you buy a house that isn't as big or perfect as you want it to be, but you're only going to live there for 5, 6, 7 years while you build up more savings so that eventually you can sell this one and buy the forever home. Well, if you ask me, the right way to do that is by buying a duplex. And in this case, we can see what it looks like if you purchase this home and sell it 7 years later. Your average monthly housing cost over those 7 years is going to be $2,221, not bad for Los Angeles. The proceeds from the sale in 7 years is going to be over $500,000. And that's going to represent an internal rate of return on your original down payment investment of over 20%. That's a huge return. So if you're shopping for a starter home and you're thinking maybe you should get something with an ADU, I hope this shows you that the answer is yes, you absolutely should. Finally, we come down to our buy and hold analysis. And here we have two graphs that show what happens to the property over time, both in terms of cash flow and in terms of equity growth. On the left side, we have our cash flow graph. And I want to point out one thing at the bottom of the graph in all bold. It says property cash flows with tenants after 4 years and 0 months. This is an important point. This is your break-even point. This means that if you move out before the 4-year mark, you're likely going to have to pay a little bit of money to carry the property each month. Whereas once that 4-year mark hits, you'll be able to move out and the property will pay for itself in the event that you want to move out and keep the property as an income stream. You'll also see two lines, a blue line and a red dotted line. The blue line represents what rental amounts will be with no tenant turnover whatsoever. And the red line represents what the income levels will be if you have tenant turnover every year. In other words, if you're able to achieve market rent every year. In Los Angeles, market rents grow faster than rent control allows you to raise rents on existing tenants. So the longer tenants stick around, the further below market levels your rental income becomes. The graph on the right shows equity growth, and it shows both the property value and how it grows over time, as well as proceeds from a sale, and that's factoring in the cost of the sale, which is typically around 8% of the sales price, and then also the growth of the proceeds from a 75% loan-to-value refinance. Now, when you refinance a property, you can usually cash out up to 75% of the value of the property after paying off the old loan. So it's possible not just to buy and hold a property for an income stream, but also to be able to refinance some value out of it. And that's what that graph shows. Well guys, that's it for this property tour and the sneak peek of the latest iteration of the House Hack Calculator. If you'd like a copy, subscribe to the channel so you'll get an update when it comes out, or hop over to www.househack.la/calculator and download the current copy, and I'll email you when the new copy is available. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.